Hi, everyone, and welcome to Ask Christa, the place where you can ask questions about how to work through business challenges and workplace issues. I'm Christa Dhimo, and today's question is, how can I get my manager to stop interrupting me during my team meetings? Whew, boy, that's a tough one. Being interrupted by your boss in front of your team. And while I don't know enough to speak to this specific question, like how long the person has worked with this boss or what kind of reputation the boss has overall, there is such a thing as an interrupting culture, and I'm going to start there. You'll see it in families, around friend groups, and yes, in work environments too. It might be isolated to a specific team, or it could be a department or the entire company, especially if it's a smaller organization where the culture binds the company together and also creates these blocks of behavior that it seems everyone does. Now, there are some reasons why someone may interrupt, and I want to talk through this first. And interruptions happen in the workplace and outside of the workplace too. This is a list to keep in mind why someone might be interrupted. First, they're talking about something that's really exciting, and the people around them or the person they're talking to is excited. They're excited about what they're hearing, and they just can't wait to contribute, or they're interrupting to add to the story. And I'm not saying that's right, and I'm not saying it's respectful, but it's one of the common reasons why people might interrupt. Impulse control. Another reason is they're just bad listeners who cannot sit and pay attention, actively listen to whoever is speaking. Active listening is a skill that must be learned and practiced, especially if you're in an interrupting culture where most of the time the problem is the utter absence and sometimes disdain for active listening. Another reason for interruptions is the person speaking who's getting interrupted is not being factually correct during a time when it's imperative to be factually correct. Maybe they're under oath. Or the person getting interrupted is not practicing the required standard procedure for a formal environment. We see this happen in courtrooms when one of the attorneys might object to another attorney's question. That's an interruption. I object. Sustained, overruled. That's the ruling on the objection. But the person is being interrupted because the other attorney in the courtroom is saying, yep, no, can't do that. Can't do that. Another reason for interruptions is you're running out of time and you're in a presentation and you had 10 minutes for your presentation, you have 2 minutes left, and the speaker needs to hear in the moment, usually from someone in the back of the room, 2 minutes left. That's an interruption. It's a time signal when somebody needs to be interrupted so that they know how much time they have left. And of course, the interruption I think everybody's thinking about when they think about a work environment, and that's when interruptions are used to cut off who's speaking, take some power away, and dominate the discussion or control the room. So what do? Well, for starters, watch out for any signs of an interrupting culture during your interview before you're even employed at the company. You will see it there. You will see it. You will see a lot of cultural things come up during an interview. An interrupting culture might look like rapid fire questions where you're barely getting an answer out and the next question comes into you. You have to hurry up. And if you don't hurry and you don't finish the question and you don't answer it as quickly as possible, the next one comes in and it's interrupted. It might also look like you're 3/4 of the way through an answer and the interviewer interrupts and shares their experience or how they manage situations you were describing. That's part of that listening problem. If you see it a lot during your interview and it concerns you, you can actually ask the recruiter about it during your debrief. You can say, what can you share about the communication style of the hiring manager? I know we were pressed for time, so I was keeping my answers short and concise, but felt really rushed. There were several times when the hiring manager talked over me as I started my answer, and I'm trying to determine if that's a style or perhaps just the timing of the interview. By the way, you could also decide not to say anything at all. What's important is that you're aware of it and you're taking notes during the interview process that if a job were offered and you accepted, you may be walking into an interrupting culture. There are also ways to address interrupting behavior during a meeting after you have the job. And the most effective one is to say, as you open the meeting, We'll be talking about a lot of exciting topics, and you may have an urge to speak up right away and interrupt, but I'm asking that you not do that. I'm asking that you write down your questions, you let me finish the presentation, and then we talk about it, because I've saved the last half of this meeting to address any and all questions, and it's important that you hear the entire presentation before you ask your questions or interrupt. I promise you'll have the time. Then, of course, you have to make sure you have the time in the meeting to devote to questions and concerns, what other people would otherwise do during interruptions. When I'm working in an interrupting culture, I design my meetings so that my content is covered in the first half and everyone's questions and thoughts are addressed in the second half. It conditions the team for time management and creates healthy, respectful meeting habits. If it still happens even after those ground rules, there are direct ways to manage it in the moment during the meeting. You interrupt the interruption. Excuse me, wait a minute. Please just let me finish. Just before you start up, let me finish this one point. If that's not your style and you prefer not to interrupt someone who just interrupted you, you can wait until the interrupter is finished speaking and then say, okay, before we address that, wait 1 second. Before we address that, let me finish what I was saying so we can close that part up first. Obviously, when it's your boss, the dynamics you have with your manager need to be considered. If it's a good relationship, you can talk to them after the meeting. Describe the interrupting behavior and its impact and how you'd like that to change. This feedback model is called BIC. B for behavior, I for impact, and C for change or continue. And I've found it to be the most effective feedback model I've known, coached, advised on, and used in my time in the workforce. It's short, the structure is straightforward, and you can remember what it means. You can also use it in your personal life too. It looks like this. Knock, knock. Hi, Christa. Hey, thanks for attending my meeting earlier today. It seems like you were really engaged, and I appreciate that. When I was talking about the budget process, you interrupted a couple times to offer additional information to the team. That's the behavior. Which is good information for them to have, but not if it means they see you interrupting me to get that information to them. I'd like the team to see how well we work together. And if it's the only time they see us working together, and that's during my meetings when you're interrupting me, that's not going to give them an accurate picture of how we work together. And I'm also afraid it might show them that interrupting is okay. That's the impact. Could you hold your ads until I'm finished speaking instead of interrupting? I think that's going to come across much better for the team. That's the change. Woof! 2 pixie dust and flying horses? Well, if you have a good working relationship with your boss, my guess is your boss will interrupt you in the moment again in agreement. Yes, I know, I'm so sorry. And then you can say, I'm doing it again. Make it a development moment for your boss and make it a development moment for you too. It's not easy giving anybody that kind of feedback. Now, if you don't have that kind of relationship with your boss, and so many people don't, and it's something you feel you need to address in order to feel more successful at work, then pre-read the meeting with your boss ahead of time whenever they're going to attend. Share the topics you will cover and the topics your boss will cover, and see how you can manage some expectations in the pre-read. If it's a really toxic relationship where your manager frequently dominates your meetings, whether there's a pre-read or not, then it's time to talk to a coach or a mentor or figure a way to limit which meetings your boss attends. And sometimes there's not much we can do, but knowing your boss's style gives you an advantage. For additional resources, I've provided a great video from Lighthouse Communications. I love this video because it starts out demonstrating a classic interruption at work during a meeting. Then the host brings you through 4 quick tips to manage the interruption in the moment. It was posted in January of 2023, and what I like the most is how the example is done while the team is in a mock virtual meeting, where you have the digital walls to contend with, not a room where you might make larger movements or stand up or walk in order to keep the focus on your points. You'll see what I mean when you view it, and I hope you do. It's 4 minutes long and really, really good. I've also included an article from Sherry Gordon called Understanding the Psychology of Interrupting. It's on the Very Well Mind site, which I like because there are peer reviewers there who review the articles before they are published, yet it's written in a way that's accessible to all. There are a variety of resources available in the article also as links, including the need for control, gender differences, different studies supporting some of those claims, the effects of interruptions, and quick tips to handle a chronic interrupter and future interruptions. And that's applicable to the work environment, but it also talks about what happens when you're with a chronic interrupter in your personal life too. As I said, it's not specific to the workplace, but that's good because you'll always experience people outside of work who interrupt you. And anytime you have a chance to practice managing interrupters, that's a good use of your time. The last is another video, this time from communication coach Alexander Lyon, called How to Stop People from Interrupting You. It was posted in October 2022, and while some of his tips may not be comfortable for everyone to do, the tips are solid, and it's good to watch educational style content. Where the first video from Lighthouse Communications focuses on how to manage interruptions in the moment, Alexander Lyon focuses more specifically on stopping people from interrupting. You'll see some overlap, but both videos are different enough to get something out of each one. And as a reminder, I develop my content, then seek credible resources specific to the questions to fill in the gaps. I also want to offer you additional insights or improve upon what I've provided here so you can learn more at a pace and a time frame that works best for you. So there it is, episode 16. What a challenge to have your own boss chronically interrupting you during your team meetings. Whew. I hope this was helpful. Remember to submit your questions to my show's website, askchrista.com. That's Christa with a CH, where you'll see a big follow button. And while you're there, you'll see an easy way to sign up for my weekly Sunday night newsletter called More Answers. You can find copies of More Answers in the blog section too. You'll receive a free issue of the Survivor's Guide to Business Challenges and Workplace Issues when you sign up. And boy, do I appreciate your support. Thank you. Please encourage others to follow and subscribe as well. And remember, if you have a business challenge or workplace issue, ask Christa.